Hello, my name is Billie Jean Bauer. I would like to share my story with you. I am co-founder of Partners in Prayer for Schools. My family and I began this prayer ministry to seek the face of God for the lives of our children in the year that the Columbine High School shooting took place. This was a wake-up call to America to cry out for the lives of this generation. But for me personally, the call to pray for children came years earlier and with deeper passion. I am the mother of 3 sons whose names are Jason, Christopher, and Jonathan. I love my sons as all mothers do. In my worst fears, I never dreamed I would lose a child. But my life and the life of a young man whom I had never met would collide on September the 7th of 1996, and both of our lives would be changed forever. My 20-year-old son Christopher and his brother Jason had gone on an adventure to see San Francisco, California. Christopher and friends loaded into a yellow cab in the darkness of the night while there, not knowing of impending danger. A short distance away, a young man would jump into his car, feeling gunshots fired at him moments earlier from somewhere in the streets. Police nearby heard the shots and saw the fleeing vehicle and began pursuit. 18 blocks later, this car would crash into the taxi my son and his friends were riding in. My sweet Chris and a 17-year-old boy, his life would be snuffed out. My family received a call from police following the accident. My husband and I wept and held each other and began to pray. We did not know where our son Jason was for hours. We had to depend on others to find him. News finally came. Jason was found and was taken to the morgue to see his brother. God had spared my oldest son. He was not in that cab with his brother. Even in the horror, God had shown mercy. Christopher's little brother Jonathan was at home with us in Louisiana. He was just 4 years old at the time. We began calling family, and my father was home asleep, 2,000 miles away. He rose to answer the door to see his grief-stricken pastor, who came to deliver the devastating news. My father took my mother and the hand of my pastor, and as he wept, he asked God to forgive the man who had killed his grandson. Years later, my husband and I visited the driver of the car in the San Francisco jail. We sat across from one another, and with a telephone and a wall of glass between us, I was overwhelmed with emotion as I extended my hand to comfort him. I placed my hand on the glass, and his hand met mine. Picking up the telephone, I looked into the eyes of this broken-hearted man, and I told him, I forgive him. I forgive him as Jesus had forgiven me. I knew that he had not meant to kill those boys. He began to weep, and the fragrance of forgiveness filled the room, and mercy flowed from the heart of God to all of us. Time seemed to stand still as God released his healing into my broken heart. I had not seen this man Reuben since that day, but we've kept in touch on the phone and in letters. He addresses each letter, Dear Mom, and when I hear him pick up the phone, he says, Hello, Mom. I've spent the past 14 years praying for him. We learned that day that forgiveness releases the supernatural power of God into our lives, and healing takes place. I mentioned I had not seen that man since that day in that San Francisco jail until today. I'd like you to meet my son Reuben from San Francisco, California.
Good morning, everybody. This has been a very, very extreme blessing for me to actually be here right now in the state of Louisiana, all the way from San Francisco, California. It's an honor and a privilege to stand here with my mom. And I would like to say that she's been a tremendous force on my life actually the things that we go through in life that changes our lives. And I pray that for each of you that has experienced any type of traumatic experiences in life, that this is proof that through your bad comings, there is a light at the end of the tunnel that is positive for each of you. I mean, I would have never thought in a million that I would be able to actually stand here in person to tell anyone that I am proud to be here, standing here with you all, my brothers and sisters, young and senior. I would say senior, but I am grateful for this moment. This is something that basically I never thought would ever happen, but it has, and it's proof that your faith, it can go a long way. It is truly an honor, and I thank you, Mother. I love you.